Hey, happy February money-making month. I hope you liked the last two podcast episodes that are focused on helping you create more money in your business. First off, we had Brian Bowman. Oh my gosh, you guys bombarded me with the DMs about how cool the episode was. If you didn't get a chance to check it out, go check it out. Talking about the top apps to have in your store to help you make more sales. Last week, we're talking about photography. If your photography stinks, I'm guessing your sales are going to stink as well. And then today, you ready for it? We're going. We're going on this gravy train to help you to put more money in your pocket in the month of February. Why? Because we can. We can set new records. We can step out of our comfort zones. And today I'm bringing in a guest, Jen Roth. Oh my goodness. Get ready for it. The reason why I wanted to share Jen's story in February is because she has all the excuses to not have started her business. She didn't know what she wanted to do. She didn't have the clarity. She wasn't given this big aha vision. She just started moving forward. Then the product, you got to wait to see what it is. She couldn't just get it off Alibaba or AliExpress or Fashion Go. She had to formulate the product before she could sell it. So I wanted to bring Jen in today so that you could hear a story and get inspiration and take mad notes on how she was able to create her own product and not be sitting in her warehouse or in her kitchen making all these formulas to get out to the world, but how she was able to source it so that she could focus on the sales, focus on serving her customers and getting her product out into the world. So take mad notes. I'm super excited for you to hear about Jen Roth. All right, now before we begin the podcast episode, I actually did this podcast episode. I pre-recorded it and we had some special guests come in and listen to the podcast. So as I get started, you're going to hear me welcoming them in and talk a little bit how the podcast is doing. All right, so now that you know how this is rolling out, let's get started. Okay, so I just want to give you a little behind the curtain of what happens in the podcast scene. I have learned a ton in the podcast scene, and about 3 years ago, someone told me to start a podcast, and I'm like, oh, no, that's not my world. And finally, after just 2 years of them saying you need to create a podcast, I did it. And we have been ranking in the top 50, if not the top. Last week, I think we're at 36. The week before that, 26. I'm in between some of the big guys, Russell Brunson, Dean Graziosi. I'm screenshotting. I'm sending my podcast ranking to them. And I'm like, I gotcha. So it has been such a fun blessing. And it's because of you guys. You guys are reviewing and rating and sharing. And I appreciate that so incredibly much because the world needs to know the possibilities out there. Instead of being in that crazy 9-to-5 job, we need to show them the possibility. And so you sharing, rating, and reviewing, it just means so much to me, my team, and the future people that are going to listen to it. So thank you so much for doing that. I really, really appreciate that. And I am so excited to introduce you to our amazing guest today. We've got Jen Roth in. I've met her about 3 years ago. Was it 2 or 3 years ago, Jen?
I think it was 2, but I'm not positive.
Okay, somewhere-ish in there.
Yeah.
And we became fast friends in the business world, and it has been fun to watch her growth. And I wanted to bring her on because she just doesn't have a normal, I say normal, like you just can't go buy this product on Amazon or at Fashion Go or on AliExpress. It is created by her, and I'm excited for her to share that story with you because I think it's going to resonate so much. If you've got some ideas and you're thinking that you want to do something a little bit out of the box, I think it's really going to resonate with you. So, Jen, are you ready?
Yes.
All right, let's do this. Okay, will you introduce yourself, tell us a bit about your background, and then I'll answer some of your questions or ask you some questions.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Jen Roth, owner, founder of Birds and Bees Teas, an herbal tea company for fertility, pregnancy, and postpartum. Absolutely thrilled to be here with you all today and so excited to be in the field with Alison. There's not a day that goes by that I don't attempt to get some form of Alison in my mind, keeping my head in the right place as I accelerate and grow and learn every day is an implementation day for business, or an opportunity for that, right? And so, yeah, I grew up in Michigan, moved to Seattle, studied herbal science and herbal medicine, moved to Denver about 13 years ago and live here with my husband and our two dogs. So I apologize if there's a noise from an animal behind me, but it would be from
Hey,
our dogs.
dogs, animals, kids,
And
whatever, it's all accepted here.
yeah, so that's about it.
Okay, so when you say you studied, like, did you get a degree in it or did you read books? Like, tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, great question. I went to a university called Bastyr University in Seattle, small naturopathic medicine school. I was incredibly excited and wanted to study acupuncture and hadn't made it through a degree yet after studying in college for much longer than 4 years, let's put it that way. Struggled with sciences and I'm a little dyslexic. So school just doesn't come super simple to me until I started to learn about herbs in the body and how things went together. I was a massage therapist prior to that. It was my last probably year of school when it all just really began to click. So I have a bachelor's in herbal science, focused on the herbs and plants and what they do in our body and how we can use herbal medicine, in that shape, or like in the best way, I guess, for
I love
ourselves.
it. I
Yeah.
love it. And then, okay, so you went one step deeper. It wasn't like, let me just help everybody heal. You said, I want to go one step deeper and help with infertility and pregnancy. What drew you to that?
Yeah, I landed in it actually in Denver. I came here to do my clinical rotations and to study more of how to communicate what the herbs do, in the day to day and just common language. Our focus in school was so scientifically based and backed, which was great. But I can't really share like chemical formulations of what's happening in your body, or at least it seems to knock people's lights out and not be of interest for very long, right? So I came to Denver, for a handful of courses that I thought that I'd be interested in taking. I ended up in an herbal apothecary here in Denver, focused in women's health. And working as an herbalist, I wasn't able to, I don't know, I think it was like $12 an hour I was able to make fresh out of college. And it just felt like, oh my goodness, this is kind of horrible. And wonderful at the same time. I was grateful for a job, but the way I could make more money was learning a technique called mine, abdominal, and uterine massage. So the clinic had an herb shop in the front and a women's health clinic in the back. And we, as massage therapists, would do this mine, abdominal, and uterine massage, all external, and work side by side with the fertility doctors here. And so we were always making formulas for women that were safe yet effective during their IUI treatments, IVF treatments, that kind of thing. And it was incredibly rewarding, but I would just come home absolutely exhausted. And I thought, there's got to be a different way, a better way to do this and to reach more women, because I just really realized the need to help women through their fertility journeys, and then how excited they get once they became pregnant, and through their pregnancy. Then I became a doula. They'd ask me to come to their births with them. So it was just an evolution that continued to unfold, something that I never dreamt I would ever be in or be doing. Very, very grateful for. And the remarkable piece was that the women who would go home and make a loose leaf cup of tea were the ones that were carving out enough time, that self-care, that slow down time to create space for babies. So the statistics of the women that would go home and make the loose leaf cup of tea were the ones that were becoming pregnant. So
Okay, I love that one thing that you said in there. I hope everybody is paying attention to this. When Jen walked into this, she didn't get this big vision that she was going to own this tea company one day. It was step by step by step, which led her to the thing that she's selling today. So if you think you have to know what you're going to be doing in 10 years, you don't. Don't do that. That's going to overwhelm you. And then she's talking about space, letting this woman's body have space. to get pregnant. You need to have space in your brain to help you to birth your business as well. I think birth of babies and birth of businesses are very similar. Okay, so how did you? Okay, so you're thinking you want to put these herbs together. Where where do you even get herbs from? Did you just get them like this is so dumb. Don't judge me. If you do, I don't care. Like Walmart? Like where do you get herbs from to put together in a tea?
Yeah, so good. So thank goodness that was at least one portion that I was learning in school. And so you could grow them yourself, which was a checkbox. No, thank you. It's like a business in and of itself. There's a handful of vendors throughout the United States, actually throughout the world, who sell herbs, herbal products. So I started at like pretty much buying herbs retail, and putting them together, and then slowly figuring out how can I find a better price, who's who in what situation. But Mountain Rose Herbs and Pacific Botanicals are some that are out in the world, in the herbal world. And so they're a bit more specific. There are a lot of DIY products that they sell. So you can make your own teas, you can make your own tinctures, and they kind of walk you through all of that. So yeah, it was the one of the easier parts of starting the company was figuring out where to get the herbs from, but that was just for me.
Okay, so you've got the herbs, and then are you mixing them, or I mean, now tell me the process. Did you start mixing them, and now do you have a company to do it, or is it still in house? How's that?
Yeah, so I just closed one of my warehouses, the first one that I started in, and I found a batch of herbs that I had sent out the recipe and all the information to another vendor who I really wanted to have them blend and make the tea for me, but the costs were just too intense. And I didn't have any control over the quality. So it was a bit challenging to figure that out. And it's been a seed that's been planted since the beginning. Like, how do I not make this product? I know how to make it. I can do it. That's not the problem. But every single person I ever heard just shared, you've got to outsource. You've got to find somebody else and make a product so you can focus on sales. Like, okay, how do I do this? So I chose to instead blend all of the teas, which was great because at that point, I look back now and it's like, I think I had 4 sales my very first month. So I had time. And unfortunately, I let that go probably for too long. And yet I do believe in divine timing. And so it was only just 2 years ago in this process, 2.5 years ago, that I found the right co-packer. And it was actually at a ClickFunnels event that I found the right person. And it all just unfolds as you keep going. But there was not a day in the blending room that I wasn't listening to a podcast or listening to Zig Ziglar on sales or how to keep my head in the right place of, okay, I've got this product. It's really expensive. In the world of herbal teas, our products are 2 to 3 times more than any other herbal tea on the market. And a big piece is because quality was really, really important to me. And I wanted to make sure that these women were getting a nourishing cup of tea, and also that I was the one blending it. It was taking a lot of time. And I started, fortunately, unfortunately, in focusing on stores. Retail stores was something that I knew I could get my hands on and go in and focus on every day. But there's just something that never felt right about going into the stores, besides the fact that I was able to go in and see women with babies strapped onto them and just know, like, oh my goodness, this is going to be amazing. This is the demographic and the women I get to work with on a daily basis. Then I feel like I've chosen something that's just incredibly powerful. So,
and it speaks to your soul.
Yeah.
And it's guiding you. And I love it. I love it, your story. Okay, so you sold 4 orders your first month. Did you have amazing packaging and branding? Can you tell us about how that first package looked?
Yeah, I'm so grateful that I got to connect with you just a little bit before. I legitimately keep these on my shelf. So the very first sale that I had was a cousin of mine who wanted to take the teas to a baby shower, and I didn't have real labels yet. So I printed them out on my computer, paper labels, and then double sticky taped the inside is all paper just on there. And I was like, oh my goodness, how embarrassing. This is absolutely ridiculous. But she was insistent to take the teas, and it helped me, right? It helped me see that it was more than just a paper. I can be as critical as it gets, right? And so every step has just been one that cultivates and grows from the next. And I'm always tremendously grateful for that. So yeah, imperfect action for sure is tremendously important.
So I look at that tin and I was like, oh, that looks really good. I was thinking your first one was going to be like really shabby, but Jen, that looked amazing. And I think I was listening to Brandon Bouchard right before we hopped on, and he talked about how entrepreneurs, we're not patient with ourselves. We see where we want to go and we're not moving. That's always how it is. We're not moving fast enough no matter where you're at in your journey in the entrepreneur world. And so I loved how he said, be patient with yourself. Be patient with yourself. So I'm looking at this beautiful product that you're holding up and you're embarrassed by it. Yep. I would have been so excited to take something like that to a baby shower. Okay, so at what point did you say, okay, I need to start outsourcing this? I need to get serious. I know it was always in the back of your head, but at what point were you like, I don't have any other options. Like, I've got to do this to get to my goals.
Yeah, I think something that you teach and so many others teach as well, but is the importance of focusing on one product. And so
yes. Wait, can you say that again?
The importance of focusing on one product. I have 6. I started with 6, and that was narrowed down from like a bunch. Everyone's like, oh, why are you just focused on pregnancy? You could do menopause. You could do this. You could do that. And I'm like, yes. And like, this is a lot. So the inventory for 6 products is so much, especially for moving parts on the inside. Yeah, I think it may have been Russell Brunson who drove that in the most for me, of just like, okay, this is awesome. Like, focus on one product until it hits $1 million, not your business hitting $1 million, like one product.
Yep.
And that just lit me up, and it gave me like so much fuel to go, okay, what product's selling the best, and how can I cultivate and make that the best product that I possibly can, and work on email sequences for one product and customer like nurturing and all of that. So yeah, focusing on one product is definitely the most important. So I was working with somebody I hired to help me with processes and systems and look at my numbers on a regular basis. And I'll never forget our conversation. Like, he's just like, just choose one. Let's choose one product that you think you could sell over the next 3 to 4 months, because minimum orders were a lot. It's a custom product. It's not something that many people make. And so I was looking at thousands of units, not a couple hundreds, 100 units. And so I'd look at a year-long period, and we chose one product, and it was our Ripe and Ready. And I got super excited. I remember taking a whole entire batch of herbs to Salt Lake City. We put them in a blender. They blended in 10 minutes, what would take me hours to do. And I was like, yes, this is going to be it. And I was divinely guided. It was perfect. I so happened to meet Dave Lindenbaum, who's a great friend of Alison's, and
he's on like podcast like number 6 or something. We brought him in on. Oh, he's amazing.
Yeah. Yes, incredible, super marketer, really fun guy. And so it turns out his business partner, I heard him at one of the Funnel Hacking Live events, and his wife was pregnant at that time. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so fun. I've had numerous midwives reach out to me and say, we'd love to have your teas as a kombucha and to refer moms to be able to drink your tea. And I thought, okay, I'm not sure how that's going to work, but Dave presents this big presentation as Dave Kombucha Lindenbaum. I'm like, what? This is interesting. And his wife's pregnant. This is so much fun. So it's so much about following clues, right? Like, it's just truly one step to the next, and what lights your heart up a little bit more each time. And how do you just continue to take that next courageous step? So I went home, I wrote 3 names down of people I wanted to connect with after that conference. And I did it. I just picked up the phone, reached out to them. And little did I know that one of his business partner's wives answers the phone, and she says, did you know we're based out of Boulder? And we're in Denver. I was like, no way, you're right down the street. And so I popped on their website. They make similar products to what I do. I thought, no way somebody's going to take the time to make something like this. I have so many steps in the entire process. There's so much to pay attention to while you're creating the tea and packaging it. And I've had people put labels on sideways. I'm not quite at the point. We're almost there, ready to get our tins printed on. So that's the next step that's going to be really exciting.
So exciting.
But it's just one step after the next. And I went up to their warehouse and it was a perfect fit. They've been making our tea ever since, doing exactly the way that I did, but with other great people. And it was a choice point where, do I go to the right and begin managing a team that's much larger and focus daily on employees and managing this team, which I am not a great manager. I love people way too much to tell them that they're doing anything incorrectly. So somebody putting on a label sideways or not really on straight, I'm like, really? You think that this would you buy that on the store shelf? And so, yeah, it's just been absolutely fantastic. Now, is every single thing that comes out of there perfect? No, but everything that came out of my warehouse wasn't always perfect for myself either, and constantly learning. But yeah, so it was the point where I really had a burning desire to focus on sales and no longer spend my time blending my tea. I was spending too much time in resentment of what I was doing with my hands and my time, and not enough gratitude for where I was in my business.
Oh, that's a mic drop right there. Oh my goodness. I just got the chills that you said that. I love it. And I love how, okay, in the beginning, when you sold your first 4, if you would have met the people at that point, you wouldn't have been ready for them. And honestly, I know Dave's story, he wouldn't have been ready for you. And so I love how when you lean into your heart, there's so much around heart when you're growing your business, because we're blessed with this divine intuition with a touch of impatience that we have to like, hang on, slow down, go sit on the corner, so that we can be aligned right when the timing's perfect.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this is more technical stuff, but where do you sell? What platform are you selling your product on?
We sell on Shopify, on Etsy, on Amazon. I feel like there's more on Faire as well. The main focus was through our website. It was stores first, but then finally we moved from Magento, who developer told me at one point, like, if you get hundreds of sales at one point, then you want to make sure that it's robust enough to handle it. Well, I wasn't having hundreds of sales come through at any period of time at that point. So, and didn't make the jump or leap over to Shopify quick enough after I did. But since we have, which I believe was September of 2018, it's like a dream. All the data and analytics and information, and you can search for a customer, and how you can find everything is just fantastic.
And you don't have to pay so much for coding like you do on some of the other platforms. And you can integrate an app. Like, I cannot sing Shopify's praises enough. And then their customer service, oh my gosh, they're awesome. They're awesome. Okay, so now we know your platforms. How are you generating traffic?
Traffic comes from relationship building, I would say, the most. The one that I had the most fun with traffic was when we first got on Amazon. The fact that I could create an ad and drive traffic to our listing, and it worked. It was super simple. There wasn't much to it. I didn't have to put any headlines in or information on where it was going. Facebook ads work for us a little bit, but a great amount of what has shifted this last year, which put our sales the best they've ever been, is through influencers and subscription boxes. So we have partnerships with influencers and subscription boxes, and they're phenomenal to work with.
I love influencer marketing. You guys know, you'll get into the 0 to 100K system and you'll find out that I'm obsessed, because I would much rather pay an influencer big bucks than someone's name that starts with Mark. He has plenty of money. Like, let us pay the influencers. They're so good at what they do. Okay, so now can you tell us about how many? So you start off with 4 orders. About how many per month are you shipping per orders? Are you shipping per month now?
Yeah, it's just over, I don't know, somewhere around 2,000 to 2,500.
Yay! Are you guys freaking out? I'm freaking out. This is so fun and so exciting that you're stepping into who you needed to be to serve these women. Okay, so tell me a little bit more about the product. Why is it, and I love that you can do this, why can you charge 2 to 3 times more than other people?
Yeah, we just have the most quality product, I personally believe, on the market. I chose, for one, because of the schooling, but also because of the results that I was seeing with women, to do loose leaf tea, which is completely different than not anything out there, but most people are going for a tea bag. It's manufactured by a big mass production that doesn't have the hands-on quality, handcrafted piece. And my schooling background and beliefs are that from a loose leaf cup of tea, one, you're creating that self-care ritual with yourself, but also the cell walls haven't been broken down. So as soon as the hot water hits those leaves, it's actually releasing more nutrients into the cup of tea. So you're getting just so much more. When I was working at the apothecary, there were women that didn't want to make loose leaf tea, which that's absolutely fine. But I'd always recommend to take 2 or 3 of the tea bags from traditional medicinals or whoever we were recommending, because that's going to get you the same impact from the nutrients. So that's one. We have a lot that we add in. I wanted to make sure that the tin was absolutely full. That is not partially full or just tea bags in there that are taking up more space. So we have 2 to 3 times the amount of tea, like actual physical weight of tea in there. And those are things that people just, I don't think, really look at. When you look at a tin or a box of tea, it's somewhere under an ounce. And we have anywhere between 2.5 ounces to 5.5 ounces per tin. So it's a massive difference in volume. And yeah, I just absolutely believe in it. So many people constantly say, like, can't you just go to a tea bag, or it's not as easy or simple to use? And I just don't believe that it's as powerful as a loose leaf cup of tea. So
What is your biggest regret on this whole journey? I want to know your biggest regret and then your biggest success.
honestly, one of my bigger regrets, I'm sure I have so many. But the one that comes to mind, and this is not a sales pitch for Alison at all, but I had a gut 100% clear yes, body yes, when I saw Alison speak at Funnel Hacking Live 3 years ago. So I think I saw you speak 3 years ago, didn't meet you until 2 years ago, something like that. I can't remember when you spoke. But your story, your mission, how vulnerable you are, how much you share, and you're willing to just dive in with us. And at that point, I had so many eggs in my Amazon basket that I know Amazon, anything can disappear at any point, tomorrow, whenever. So it's an absolute blessing that I get to wake up and do this business every day. But I didn't jump into your course fast enough. There weren't courses like this when I started. And I should have just gone home and jumped right in. But for whatever reason, I sat and watched and listened. And your story of your girls and everything, I want that. I want all of it. And from a heart-centered place, not from a greed or a jealousy or anything. I just really, truly am forever grateful for how much you give to all of us. And for outsourcing and all of that, like your black book of secrets and everything that you have done and poured in for everyone, for yourself, but how much you share is remarkable.
Thank you. Thank you. And I accept that. It is still uncomfortable for me to accept that or to hear that recognition. I'm like, no, can we talk about something else, someone else? So I really, really appreciate that. And I accept it. And I'm so grateful that you jumped in and you've crushed this and you're serving so many women who need you so bad. I was talking to someone, and as you're talking, I'm thinking, okay, she's going on IVF. what teas can we do for IVF? Can I ship her a package? Because she's going to go through this horrible, I don't know how many months it's going to take, but I know your tea is going to serve her. And I love that you stood up and said, I'm here to serve these women. And so in my mind, if you're listening, are you thinking of pregnant women too? That you're like, oh, I want to help. Or women that are trying to get pregnant, or postpartum women. I hope you're thinking that because Jen was called to do this. And it is so fun to sit here and listen to you. Okay, now I want to ask you, what is one of your biggest success, or something that you're super proud of?
My biggest success is a handful of years ago. So from a course, just like Alison's, right? But it was an Amazon course. I learned how to do a lot, right? Is it the trend generator that you have in
Speaker trend generator? Yeah.
Yeah. So how amazing is that? First off, that freaking exists. And
I know.
I just get so excited when it comes to that kind of stuff. And so every day, or when people are sharing, or every year at Christmas, I would love to watch my nieces open gifts and presents. I'm like, ooh, is that something I could sell? Or how could I create a new and different product? So it was an Amazon course. I learned about how to go and find data on Amazon of who's selling what and what's happening. And I decided I was going to go through every single one of our herbs that we use, and I wanted to see if I could sell them by themselves. So that year, I couldn't buy enough of that product, and it has to do with immune boosting. So it's even more exciting that I do not wish what is going on in the world right now for anybody at any time. Is 100% the truth. And there's nothing like being in the right place at the right time with the right product. And that came from 3 years of data mining, but it was an immediate yes in my body of, oh my gosh, I feel like I just hit the jackpot. I found a product that's going to help accelerate this business. Because selling teas to pregnant women is wonderful. Alison nailed it. It's a 9-month period, maybe a little bit longer than that with postpartum. Will mom have a baby more than once? My fingers are crossed, and that they'll come back because they love our teas, but it's not a lifelong product that somebody will drink for the rest of their lives. We do have a couple that there's a potential for, but the lifespan of the customer is a bit shorter. So this product I was finally able to purchase a handful of it. And then last year in March, we had our very best month ever. And it came from something that I just followed my heart. I followed my intuition. I made bigger, I don't know, Alison, you're so helpful with this. Like, I took a leap of faith. I invested in more of that product than I ever have. And we sold more than we ever have. And that was just like, I don't know, March was like so exciting. You were coming on with Jared and doing podcasts and talking about e-commerce last year. And I was like, yes, let's go. Like, we're just getting started.
Yeah. When the world was like pulling back, I just kept coming into the group. I'm like, don't pull back. People need you now. They can't go to the store. Go, 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 go. Serve, serve, serve. So I'm so glad you leaned into it. There were so many people that just stood on the sidelines, but you stood up and you made it happen, and you were serving so high, so high. Okay, people are coming in and saying, where can they find your teas? Where can they find you? Will you tell them all the details?
Yeah, you can find us at birdsandbeesteas.com. You can find us on Amazon as well, on Etsy, on Faire if you're looking for wholesale products. And our handles are at birdsandbeesteas.com or at birdsandbeesteas as well. So
I'm going to say go
Instagram
buy on Shopify so someone named Jeff doesn't get a commission either. Yes. Let's give it to Jen. Let's give it all to Jen. All right. So I just re-listened to that podcast episode so I can bring you the top 10 takeaways. And as I'm listening to it, did you feel Jen's soul? It's such a peaceful, such a calm soul that you can totally tell she was meant to serve pregnant women. Oh, that was such a good interview. I feel so blessed to be able to be a part of that and to listen to that. All right, I want to give you the top 10 takeaways that I got And as always, let me know your thoughts on these takeaways. Let's see if they're the same. But here we go. We're starting with 10 and we're working down to number 1. Number 10 takeaway is give yourself permission to sit and think about what feels right to you and your business. Number 9, if you don't have a big vision yet, it's okay. Sometimes it's the small little steps that give you the clarity to be able to see that big vision. Number 8, make sure there is space in your brain to feel the inspiration and the guidance that you need to go. If you're so full of chaos and clutter and hustle and bustle, how are you going to know which way to go? Because there's no room to be guided. Number 7, I think we all need to hear this over and over again, is be patient with your journey. Number 6, I loved how Jen said, I need to figure out how to not make it. Yeah, Jen could have sat around and made the tea, but if she was doing that, she wouldn't have learned how to scale her business and get more customers her amazing product. Number 5, listen every single day to inspirational people, to stories for the place that you want to go as well. Number 4, your first product, the packaging may be a little bit embarrassing, but more than likely, you're just going to be the one embarrassed by it. No one else is even going to know. Don't wait for perfection. Start now. You can perfect it later on. Get your products out there. Number 3, focus on one product. That leads us to number 2. As you start going and creating that clarity, you're going to find that one product to focus on, and then you're going to scale that thing to $1 million. And then number 1, in your journey, you're going to find that thing that lights up your heart just a little bit more. Figure out what that is, lean into it. That's how you serve the world. All right, great episode. Jen, go check her stuff out. Get some tea for your pregnant friends, for your postpartum friends, for the ones that are trying to get pregnant, and have a beautiful, wonderful day living your Because I Can life. Don't forget to rate and review. I really appreciate you. And I'll talk to you next week. Bye.